could always fight with you. I don't know about what.
All right, let's get started.
For a good fight.
All right, welcome to the HomeLord Podcast, where we cover all things house hacking. Today, we have Zachary Russell with us. So Justin is going to read your awesome intro, and then we'll get started with the questions.
Yes, I will. So to get to know Zach a little bit better, Zach Russell is a driven entrepreneur and real estate enthusiast who turned to house hacking as a strategic way to fuel his business ambitions. Based in Utah, Zachary began house hacking a year and a half ago when he realized that reducing his living expenses could significantly increase his capacity to invest in both real estate and his entrepreneurial pursuits. As somebody deeply committed to building sustainable income streams, Zachary used house hacking to offset his housing costs, allow him to live for less while generating rental income from the same property. This approach not only freed up capital for investment, but also gave him the financial breathing room to grow as an entrepreneur without sacrificing stability, which is awesome.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, living testimony that it works. So we have some more questions for you. Keep them short and sweet. They're more about like your house hacking journey and whatnot. So the first one is how did you even learn about house hacking? Because this is a phrase not everyone has heard before.
Yeah, and I really feel like that phrase has developed over the last couple of years. Because I remember, and I was thinking about this today actually, back when I was in college, I was living in a house, and the person owning it was house hacking. And it was terrible, though, because I lived with 6 other guys. It was 2 bed, 1 bath with an attic.
Wait, 6 guys in a 2-bedroom?
7 guys total, 2 bedroom, 1 bath, and an attic. So there was 3 of us in the attic. We all paid like $200 a month.
Wow.
So that was like my first experience with house hacking. And,
The landlord was just raking it.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh.
It was disgusting. 1 bathroom was terrible. But no, that kind of exposed me to the idea of it. And then just slowly throughout life, I've been exposed to more and more people doing it and decided to do it on my own.
Okay. That's awesome. So when you were getting started, obviously you had that experience to build off of.
Yeah.
What were there any like fears or unknowns as you were going into that like kept you up at night? Was there like one big fear that you had?
Oh, totally. I mean, sharing a house with strangers is always, at first, pretty scary. And the hardest part, I would say, was getting my wife on board because she was like, oof. But we lived in a townhome, so we were already sharing 2 walls, and we just reduced that down to 1, so it really wasn't that bad. So
That is a great analogy. Like literally house hacking, it's like living in a townhome. You're sharing a wall. I don't know why we've never thought of that.
Yeah, it's just better. Because now it's not a wall,
Joel,
it's
come on.
a floor.
Okay, maybe you have. I'm just like, well, it's funny when we talk to people, it's a very consistent trend is my partner or whoever is typically the one who is a little more hesitant, but once they try it, they're like, oh, this is fine.
Yeah.
And most of the times, is like you said, there's no real difference in it.
Yeah. Well, and the nice thing is, I think a lot of people don't realize it, is you have full control. You're the landlord. You can choose who gets to live there. It's not just some random person.
Even better than a townhome. You can
you
can't kick your neighbor out.
Yeah, exactly. You can bug them and hope they leave, but you can't kick them out. So
that's really funny.
Yeah.
So what year did you buy your first house hack?
First house hack was last year, January.
Okay, and what is your total mortgage before the ADU income?
It's about $3,900.
Okay, and then how much rental income does the ADU generate?
$1,900 a month.
Okay, so $3,900 minus $1,900, your overall payment is around $2,000.
Yeah, and we kept our townhome, and we were able to do that because of the house hacking, the combination of the rents. So we're also making about $500 net on the townhome, so I take that into account. So it's basically like $1,500 a month.
Okay, very cool. And how big is this house? Because we talk to a lot of people who live in townhomes that want to upgrade to the single-family home. Very relatable to what you just did. So I'm just curious to know, like, beds, bath, square footage of the whole house.
Yeah, so our townhome was about 2,200 square feet. The house that we have now is 3,300 square feet. And the part that we live in is 2,200 square feet. So we basically went from a townhome the same size to an actual house. As far as rooms go, we have 1 more room and 1 more bathroom than we did in the townhome. And we have a yard. And it's just all around way better than the townhome.
So. That makes me so happy.
Yeah.
Like the word yard alone. Do you have kids yet?
Oh yeah, we've got 3.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, going from a townhome. Some have yards, but usually they're like this tiny,
It's
like
garbage.
6x6 concrete
A
pad.
piece of cement. Yeah.
That's not even.
It's
there.
halfway broken already. Yeah, we didn't really have much, so it's been so nice. And I mean, I was a landscaper for a long time, so I've just always wanted a yard. So now we got the best of both worlds.
Get your finishing touch put all over it, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
I like to mow the lawn now every Saturday. I feel like a real man.
Okay, on a side note, I'm not even joking. That is absolutely the case. I worked in landscaping too, and when I got my house and I got my yard done, I'm like, I'm turning into one of those grass dads.
Yeah. You just care about this stupid grass. I don't know
Like
why.
now I'm out there like fertilizing it in my little white sneakers.
Yep.
Like what has become of me?
White socks, white sneakers. turning
What are
green.
those sneakers that like our grandparents wear?
New Balance.
New Balance.
Yeah.
The huge moon shoes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Some white tube socks. So it's a good combo.
I just spent like a half an hour on social media on Sunday going over grass videos, and now I'm talking to my wife like, oh, now I need to get masonry sand and make it like flat as it.
Those are dangerous, man.
I know.
Because their grass is like that big and it's just perfect. And they don't have a day job, that's for sure.
Their day job is their lawn. But,
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, no. That's a real effect. I guess we should warn people about that. You're going to have the best looking yard because you'll be proud to be a homeowner. So
Yeah, that's what you get competitive about is your grass. Your priorities change.
The stuff you care about as you become an adult change drastically.
Exactly.
Oh, man. So when you were getting started in your house hack, because it's been about 1.5 years now,
Yeah.
what would you say was one of your biggest learning moments? Like, was there one mistake that you made that you're like, ooh, I probably won't do that again?
Honestly, I don't really feel, because I kind of tend to overanalyze things, so I don't feel like I made a mistake, but one of the things I wish I would have done was just saved up a little bit more, because it was a brand new house we built, and we had the builder finish the basement, and I know I way overpaid for that, but we were able to wrap that into the mortgage, so we leveraged that, but that would be my biggest thing, because that would have saved us probably 20 to 30 grand if I would have done it myself.
Yeah.
So
No, and that's a really good point. You had the benefit of wrapping it into a mortgage, but
yeah.
you are going to end up paying for it.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd say that was my biggest, as far as mistakes go. I mean, I asked you a bunch of questions. I asked other mentors a bunch of questions. So I probably exhausted everybody, but I think I avoided pretty much all the mistakes I could.
But you also made a lot of good decisions, which I will jump into. But with another guest we've had, they were talking about the benefits of new construction in terms of like solving the maintenance problem from a landlord and tenant perspective. Like that's a huge value add to have as you're house hacking.
Yeah,
so.
I agree.
So in your opinion, you've been house hacking now for a few years. Do you think house hacking is the future of affordable housing?
I kind of hope not. I don't think it's for everybody. I know that might be controversial, but it's not extremely easy. It is still work. But if everybody was house hacking, everybody here in Utah loves cars. Imagine if every house had 2 sets of families. The amount of cars that would be on one street. Our street right now is already full of cars, and I can't handle it. So. I think it's a great pathway, though, to build equity and then to get into kind of a forever home, because I think that's the end goal.
A stepping stone. Okay, love it.
Yeah.
It's been great. I totally recommend it, but I definitely know it's not for everybody.
Yeah, no, and I think that speaks, I think that's accurate because not everybody's willing to, because even though in your example, townhome, you share 2 walls, house hacking, you only pretty much share 1.
Yeah. That's
still sometimes too much of a sacrifice for somebody, even though all the other benefits are there.
Exactly.
So I totally get what you're saying. It's for the people who really are determined to make a change or have that success.
Well, long-term minded. If you're short-term minded, don't do it at all. Long-term for sure.
Just taking the words right out of my mouth. I love it. We're going to have to compare lawns now.
No, don't do it, man. I fertilized already twice this year, so.
My money's on
green.
Zach.
I know I've only fertilized once. I need to buy my stage 2 now.
Yeah. I've got stage 1, stage 2, getting ready for stage 3.
I don't even know what those are with. I didn't do landscaping.
IFA, man.
Fancy.
IFA is the way.
So you mentioned like short-term versus long-term perspective. Kind of building that back into the house hacking mantra. with the house hack that you live right now, once it's time for you and your family to like move on to bigger, better things, is this going to be a house that you keep and still rent, or is this going to be something you sell, take the money, and then buy, kind of like what you were saying, like a forever house?
Yeah, I think it kind of depends on the market. It's really hard to say. One of the philosophies that I'm trying to live by is I've never heard somebody that bought a house in a nice neighborhood regret keeping it. So I'm trying to keep every house that I have and just build this real estate portfolio along the way. So theoretically, I'm planning on probably keeping it. Whether I can house hack both halves, it just depends on city code and stuff. But yeah, I don't plan on selling any real estate throughout my life.
Awesome.
So that's the goal.
I love your buy and hold mindset. It's almost like you talked to our last podcast.
I know.
Podcast
we had that
like
exact
verbatim
same conversation.
It's the long term. You have to think long term with real estate, or else you're just going to lose money.
Yep. Okay. Pretty good. When you started house hacking and became a first-time landlord, what surprised you the most about doing it for the first time?
Weirdly enough, I feel like I was just naturally good at it. Growing up, I lived in like a DIY house, as most of us did probably. But we fixed everything. So I grew up basically learning just to become a man and a homeowner and a husband and a father. And so it's just kind of natural to me. I like building, creating, fixing, and all that stuff. So I think that's been kind of surprising is how much I enjoy it.
So you enjoy being a landlord?
Most of the time.
Okay.
Not every time. I'd say like 80%. 80%'s nice.
Okay. I guess what I should be asking is, being a landlord was easier than you thought it would be.
Yeah.
And for you, a lot of how you live your life translates very well to being a landlord.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay. Awesome. Good for you.
Thanks.
I mean, with that being said, because being a landlord was easier than you thought, but you also mentioned that house hacking probably isn't for everybody. What kind of advice would you give somebody who wants to potentially start off their real estate journey with house hacking?
I would say the biggest thing is find people that are doing it or mentors like the both of you. That was the biggest thing that I did. When I really got interested into it, there was a guy that I follow, and I'll introduce you guys to him, Connor Rockwood, and he's been doing it for a long time, and he had a video that went pretty popular where he lives in this beautiful house, and he pays $17 a month. And it's like, that's the goal.
That's a hard number to beat.
Yeah.
Very, very difficult.
I mean, a huge house, great yard, everything for $17 a month. So finding somebody that's doing what you're doing, and I should say that's actually doing it and isn't one of these fake influencer people, and then just see if you can pick their brain, ask them questions. You can watch YouTube videos, but you can't ask questions to a YouTube video.
Yeah.
So.
Dang, that's deep.
Yeah, I know that. I should put that on a shirt.
You should.
Yeah, that's amazing. Wow, $17 a month. One thing I love about what we do with the HomeLord system, and Justin's story is really powerful too, because you've been house hacking just for a few years. People constantly compare today to the pandemic or before the pandemic, mainly because of interest rates. But Justin has an interest rate of around 7%, and he's still house hacking. Like, he's doing it today at where rates are.
Yeah.
What interest rate did you get when you closed on your home? And I'm guessing it was new build construction. You probably got some incentive.
Yeah, we didn't do any of the 2-1 buy downs because it just didn't make sense financially. We're at a 6.25.
Okay, which is
not horrible. Not horrible.
Yeah.
No, 8% is horrible.
I'm like 6.9 something or
Okay.
6.8 something. So I'm like right on the cusp of 7.
There you go.
But yeah, once rates drop, I'm refinancing, and then I just get that much more cash
Exactly.
from my renters.
And I think that's the thing that people don't think about is it's a little bit of a squeeze in the short term, but in the long term, you can always refinance. But if prices keep going up, you can't refinance the price.
One of the favorite things that we love talking to people about is, like, you can go to even a new build construction. You could buy a new condo today and put 5% down. You'll actually still be paying more than most house hacks that we can find you on the market. And
Yeah.
that's hard. It like breaks their brain because it's like, what do you mean like a $395 condo versus like a $625,000 house hack? It costs way more. How am I saving money?
Yeah.
But it does once you pencil it out and you can show them.
Yeah, and then they don't factor in the rents that help them qualify, but then also with a condo. My sister's HOA in her condo is like $400 a month.
Daybreak?
No, not Daybreak. It's in Saratoga Springs, Harvest Hills.
Okay.
And you can't refinance out of that. You can't change that. That's stuck. And it has just gone up year over year.
I was going to say, I've never once heard of an HOA that went down.
Yeah. I mean, we all want to burn them down, but yeah, they don't go down.
My first rental property, 2018, 2019, was a condo. And my HOA fees, they were $225, and then they raised them. And then there's something called the special assessment, which people don't know about. It's basically when an HOA doesn't have enough funds, they need to bill every landlord. And that is just devastating for a lot of people. Daybreak, the reason I ask is just because they went through that whole drama of, I think it was a special assessment of like $30,000 or something insane.
Each house?
It's either you had to pay a lump sum or they significantly increased the HOA fee by a few $100s because of all the maintenance issues. But the other point I wanted to bring up was condos just don't appreciate well.
No.
And the long-term value proposition is like terrible compared to a single-family home. And a lot of people don't realize that. It seems easier to get into, but if it's a true buy and hold, you need to rerun your numbers.
Yeah. I mean, I'm helping somebody right now. They're getting ready to sell a condo so they can house hack instead. And they bought this condo pre-pandemic and everything. And they got they have a great rate. They got a great price on it. But even with all of that, their appreciation, like after fees of selling and all of the expenses, and we're preparing to, because the market we're in, pay seller concessions, they're going to walk away with like $70,000. But if they would have bought a single family home and the same percent growth happened, they'd walk away with 150.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's just, you make so much more money, but you also, it's like, it's the catch-22. You're also paying less, but you're making more money. It's, I don't know. I love that concept, especially because the HOAs are far less restrictive.
And like you said, most people don't like HOAs to begin with. One pain point that a lot of people have with house hacking is sticker shock. Because your mortgage payment around $3,900, yes, you're paying $2,000 overall, but how did you overcome that number that just feels so high compared to buying a condo around $2,900?
You know, and I think this is the part where it's not for everybody, because there's some nights where I'll just sit and think, because I have 2 mortgages, 2 houses, and I'll sit and think like, what if both people, like I have to kick them out, and then I got to pay both mortgages. And I got to deal with all this other stuff. I'm running all these companies and doing all these different things. And it can get almost like this anxiety darkness comes over you. But to overcome that, you just have to kind of take a step back and realize, one, don't sit in that bubble, because you can think into bad situations all day. But if you take a step back and realize not to worry about things that aren't happening, but then just to focus again on the long term. Because right now, it might seem like a pretty high mortgage, but with the offsets, it's cheaper for me to live in this house than it was in the townhome. Now we have 2 mortgages appreciating, 2 houses appreciating, and then when I can refinance, I can potentially live in my house for about $1,000 a month, which is amazing. You can't get that in a townhome. You can't get that in a condo and all these different things. So it's not for everybody. But to get over that, you just kind of have to have that long-term mindset and a little bit of the grit to see it long-term, I would say.
Yeah. And even worst case scenario, people don't realize Utah is like the most landlord-friendly state. Even if someone doesn't pay your rent, if you did it right, you have a deposit. Evicting someone takes less than 30 days in most cases, sometimes even 2 weeks, and is extremely rare.
Yeah.
So everything's almost in your favor. And another thing, too, people don't realize, you can actually get a rental guarantee through some platforms if you're really that worried about it. So there's tons of options out there for people. But I think, like you said, like you could definitely like stay up at night thinking about it, especially with the father, with kids and everything.
Oh, yeah.
I can totally relate. It's just like, oh man, what if? But there's like a less than probably 5% chance of that even happening.
Yeah. One, as an entrepreneur, like you're always worried about income because that fluctuates like crazy. So that plus rental, it's like you can just
the
develop this hive
unpredictability
mind.
of it.
Yeah. So sorry.
But it's to that same point where it's surrounding yourself with people who know what they're doing and are the professionals. Because when you are in that state of anxiety I feel like is there because you don't have enough knowledge base to know how to react if something were to happen. So if you're surrounded by a bunch of other people who have been there, done that, and they can guide you down the same path, anxiety tends to fade away because you now have an answer. Like you now have a path you can follow. So to your credit, getting surrounded by people who knew what they were doing probably helps you, even though those thoughts still come, it probably helps you overcome it a little bit better
100%.
And feel way more confident.
Yeah, because if you're worried about stuff, if you can talk to somebody that's been through it, I mean, anybody that's been through any hardship, they can say, just relax. Like you'll make it through it. So having that community around you is definitely important, I would say.
Yeah, and I know you've been following our content and have an idea, but what we love helping people do is we find them a house hack and we help them buy it, go through all the numbers. But after they purchase it, we give them 12 months of post-purchase support from the landlord side. That way they have that community, the education, the knowledge base, and access to someone who can answer all those questions. That way they're not necessarily staying up at night wondering, well, what if this could happen? Now they can be like, well, I had a question about this. Let me talk to my mentors.
Yeah.
And they can help eradicate a lot of those, I wouldn't call them house hacking myths per se, but I guess a little bit of paranoia or things that you just don't fully understand until like you've been doing it now for some time.
Or things that you haven't thought of yet. I remember when I was getting started, one of the things, I hate legal stuff. And so I was worried about the tenant agreement, and I reached out on your Facebook group and I asked people, and they, like within 5 minutes, directed me to a place where I could get it for free. I was going to contact a lawyer. I was going to pay hundreds of dollars to get it all drafted up, and there was a free one right there. So, yeah, case in point.
Yeah, that's a perfect example, and that's one of the most common pain points people have too, is because they worry about a lot of like the tenant things. They want to be protected legally. But most people, let's be frank, they don't even understand the lease they're looking at anyways. But if you can be referred to one written by a lawyer for your state that other people have used, like that will bring enough peace of mind that you feel confident using it.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you for using our group. That was great.
Of course, yeah. It's been a great resource. So.
Good.
But yeah, it brings up a funny point too, because the amount of people who are like, oh, well, I'll just have ChatGPT write me a contract. Or my uncle used one from Google forever ago. And it's worked just fine. And I'm like, well, unless your uncle's had to deal with like evictions and everything, you don't know if it's going to work fine. Like, you're not actually protected just because it's a little sheet of paper.
I mean, ChatGPT is great for a lot of things. And I remember when me and my wife first got married, so it's a little bit of a tangent. But we lived in the basement of this person's house. They were obviously house hacking. The rental agreement they had was one sheet of paper, and it was just a couple of bullet points. And I was like, this isn't protecting anybody. What are you doing? This is a huge mess. We signed it anyways and lived there because it was cheap. But yeah.
Like, look at it, like you realize this makes me allowed to do this, right?
I could burn this place down probably, and you have no legal standing. So no.
At that point, they probably didn't make sure you had renter's insurance either.
No, not at all.
Dude, that's scary. A one pager. I mean, I was about to ask you if it was like size 5 font. But
No, it was probably 12.
Like,
will you live here? Yes or no?
like I get anxiety, like, and this happens way more than people think. Like when they come to me for landlord questions, and it's almost always the first time landlord, they share with me like the uncle lease or their parents lease, which is extremely outdated. And it's the moment I see Word doc, I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
Like I already know for a fact that it's not protecting them or the tenants. And that's where problems are guaranteed to happen. But when you have a lease, that's like the expectation across the board. Right?
Yeah.
So if you have that solid, chances are you're okay. Like renter's insurance is a good one. Like it needs to be in your lease agreement that you require it.
Yeah.
Why? Because you want to protect yourself against worst case scenario. But if you use Uncle Joe's lease, if something bad happens, you're probably on the hook for a lot of things that you don't realize.
Yeah.
And to me, that would keep me up at night.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's so unnecessary to fall for those things.
It really is the great irony, because a lot of people who tend to get their own contracts, they're so concerned with like, will I get renters? Will I get paid? Will I do this? Like they're so consciously focused on that the agreement that makes it actually work, they're like, oh, if that's free, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Without thinking like, oh, maybe if it's free, it might not be as protective as I'm needing.
Yeah.
And just a quick note on ChatGPT. It is a wonderful resource. I've actually asked it to write lease agreements just to see what it will do. It does an okay job, but it does not cover the full scope of everything you would need as if it was written by like a Utah lawyer.
Yeah.
So can it work? Yes. Does it have a bunch of holes in it? Absolutely.
For sure.
So my recommendation is don't use ChatGPT. There's free resources and other things that like we have connections to that we can refer you to.
Yeah.
That will protect you. Don't, I don't know. It's so hard. People like rely on ChatGPT for everything now, but again, like you got to understand what it actually covers and have experience in the field before trusting it.
100%. And that's why hiring professionals, it's ChatGPT will get you like 90% of the way there, but a true professional brings you the whole 100.
Yeah.
And same with contracts, same with literally anything you do. So I find that part really cool. But yeah.
Yeah. If you think of it like insurance, for example, that's how I like to look at the contract. Is it's the insurance to protect you. You need some legal standing. You can't foresee everything that's going to happen. But like with insurance, you don't know what you need until you actually need it, and then you go talk to your insurance people, and they're like, "Hey, yeah, you don't have that covered." You're like, "This is supposed to be covering everything. What are you talking about?" And they're like, "Well, this." So if your agreement doesn't include everything, then you have nothing to fall back on legally in order to enforce. So it's best to get it done right.
Like, you know how we had those huge rainstorms that flooded tons of people's houses?
Yeah.
Like that one random storm in Utah, and everyone realized that flood insurance was not part of a general homeowner insurance policy. Yeah, same thing. It's like you just don't know until you ask if it's covered, and you can never assume.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always worth paying for the right protection and the right...
Yeah, and having someone in your corner who can explain it. Like, landlord insurance is different than homeowner insurance in some ways. When you're house hacking, you have homeowner's insurance, but there's, like I was talking about earlier, there is something called like a rental insurance guarantee. You just got to know what's out there and what you want to invest in. So,
I agree.
Anyways, we're coming to the end here. Overall, number one tip advice that you have for people in 2025, they're like, hey, I want a house hack. Zach, give me your number one tip. What would it be?
Oh, man, I feel like I've got so many. The one that just came right to mind.
You can give more if you want.
Okay, I'll just do the one that came right to mind.
Okay.
If you do house hacking, you do a new build, my biggest recommendation is getting a third-party inspection company through every stage of the build. Because although I have enjoyed the house hacking journey, we built a brand new home, and I won't name the company so that you don't get mad at you. But
I
they
appreciate that one.
Yeah.
We'll ask you after the podcast.
Oh, I'll tell you. I'll tell you for sure. But they didn't put insulation in half of the house.
Oh, no way.
In the summer, our electricity bill was $600.
Oh.
Because our AC just never turned off. It was just sitting there.
Wow.
And then I got the reports from the city inspection, and they said it was put in, and they signed off on it. Ooh. The builder inspection, the same. So, unfortunately, because housing is getting built so fast here, corners do get cut, whether intentionally or unintentionally. So that would be my biggest thing is it's worth $600 to have somebody come check each stage of the way. Other than that, just, again, surround yourself with a good group, good mentorship, and ask questions. Lots of questions.
$600, or in your case, 1 month of electricity.
Yeah. Exactly.
I want you to know you're not alone. I bought a new build too, and they didn't even secure the cabinet and countertops like against the wall. We didn't realize till 8 months later that we could just pull them all back.
Oh my gosh.
When our 2-year-old started tugging on the drawers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so stuff like that.
Yeah, and that could have fallen right on them. So
I bought a new house and I had no issues. So
that you know of, sir.
Yeah, that you
better get that checked. Yeah. There's stuff in the walls.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks for coming, Zach. congratulations on your house hack. Thanks for sharing your story with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was fun, new experience for me. So
okay, very cool. All right.
Thanks. Now we got to talk lawns. Not
yeah. We're gonna have a whole
only if you want to get
big podcast.